Hello everyone and welcome to A Celtic World, the channel connecting Celtic fans all over the world. My name is Stephen and I'm joined tonight by my usual comrades, Gav, Dano and Kaiser. So Gav, how are you tonight?
I'm doing okay. I'm a bit tired after a late game last night. Not as tired as you. I understand you were up in the wee hours of the morning.
Yeah, 4 o'clock in the morning and then straight out to work. Straight home and straight on here. That's commitment for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Things we do. And Daniel, how about you, mate? How are you doing?
Good, man. Everything's going good here in the birthplace of Korean democracy, Gwangju, and excited to be back on. It's been a minute.
And yourself, Kaiser, have you survived the storm? I can't remember what it's called. What's the storm called again?
I don't even know, bro. I've not been checking it, but yeah, I've not been washed away. Still -7 here in Ibrox. Hail, hail. Good morning. Good morning to everybody in chat as well. Good evening, good afternoon for the rest of the lads. Delighted to be here. It's been a hot minute, as Daniel says.
Yeah. Especially for both of us on the same team. It's dangerous. This is the danger night before the Champions League. You got to bring out the guns.
You need to bring out the big guns.
Got the A team, got the first team on tonight. Okay, so welcome to everyone watching us live on a YouTube channel. If you want to join in the conversation, please jump on the comments. Always good to hear what you've all got to say. I think, Gav, you've been sharing a few comments already that are up there, so hello to everyone who's joined us. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the show. We're just a new show starting out. We crossed our major threshold last week and the 500 subscriber mark. So thanks to everyone who's subscribed. Yeah. Excellent for us. Considering we only started this season, I think that's a major achievement.
Unbelievable.
And next landmark, I'd say let's keep pushing on to the 1,000 mark, which should be easily achievable. And after that, it's world domination, isn't it, Gav?
If you say so.
Absolutely.
Oh, by the way, I should point out that this is the original lineup from the very first episode. I checked. So it was the four of us.
Yeah.
Started the ball rolling.
Reunited, and it feels so good.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Peaches and herb, baby.
It does feel good, I have to say. All right, so let's get right into it and talk about Sunday's game, trip to Edinburgh for a game against Hearts. Always, or normally, a difficult place to go. Very tricky away fixture, but one which Brendan's boys took care of with consummate ease, winning 4-1, with goals from Kyogo, Matt O'Reilly, and who was it? Tomoki Iwata. And the second one was Daisen Maeda. There you go. So I'm not that tired. So I'll grab your...
in no particular order.
No.
Right. It's certainly not an order of appearance, yeah.
So I'll grab your overall thoughts on the game first before we dive into individual moments. I'll go to you first, Kaiser.
Yeah. I think we were outstanding. Played some really nice football throughout the entire game. Even when the subs come on, we continued to play some nice football. Hearts tried to kind of storm their way back into the game at that stage, but it just wasn't there for them. Easily beat them at a stroll. Destroying Diet Sevco at Swine Castle. Love it. One of the few joys in life, you know. You get to see Celtic run rampant. And really, really think it earmarks for the upcoming game as well in midweek. A good solid performance leading in. I know the Rotten Mob won by 4 goals and the new manager they were declaring was Roboclop. I seen a picture of him with his face on Robocop's body, replacing Murphy, you know. So they've built him up to like extraordinary heights after one game because of a 4-0 result. But there we are. I think this is possibly one of the strongest run of away games that Celtic have ever had to face at the start of a league campaign. Brendan coming in, new manager, said we started the season with a weaker team, a weaker squad. And here we are, 7 points clear, storming to victories. And if not storming, certainly strolling, because that's what we did there. We strolled that game. I was delighted with the performance, especially with some of the players as well. The link-up play between Palmer, Matt O'Reilly, and midfield really coming together. I really enjoyed it. Really, really a good watch. So I'm glad you stayed up to watch it. You know what I mean, Stephen? And Gav, you as well, putting in the late nights, and Dano. You know what I mean? So I'm sure you'll be delighted you stayed up to watch the game. Fantastic, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always great when you go to these places to get the early goal, and we certainly got that with a sumptuous ball through from Lewis Palmer, and one which Matt O'Reilly took on the volley. Made it look really easy, but it's certainly not easy when the ball comes over your shoulder like that. So, Gav, what was your take on that goal?
Well, I was waiting for you to say it's a difficult skill to perform, because that could be the subject of one of those compilations, by what's the guy called on Twitter? The goalkeeper, Angus's gun. Isn't that it?
Oh,
or
yeah,
Angus
yeah.
Guns.
Oh, yeah.
It is a difficult skill to perform, but the way he just waits for it, you see it in slow motion. Have you seen it from all the angles? And there's one view of kind of behind the back of his head, and the ball is played. He has a quick look to see where the keeper is, and then he just keeps his eye on it the whole time as it drifts over in front of his body, and he just swings his leg. Perfect timing. The tendency in those moments for lesser players than Matt O'Reilly or myself would be to snatch at it, and then it bounces off your shin, and you don't get the power, you don't get the accuracy. But I mean, that's the sign of a guy who's just really in the zone at the moment, I think. Absolutely beautiful. The pass was amazing. Palma, he's always looking for runners in those moments. He sees them and just lobs it into the danger area. Absolutely gorgeous goal. And the fact that the opposing manager can't find it in his little black heart to concede that was a well-executed goal as opposed to a sloppy goal to concede, shows the lack of class of the wee man. I don't think he's long for that job. But yeah, beautiful goal. Great start to the game. I think Hearts fans and players were fearing the worst from that match. And the fact that we scored so early with a goal of such quality just made them realise they had no chance up against a far superior opposition, and they were going to lose heavily. So I think it took whatever wind they had in their sails completely out of them.
Yeah, and we were totally dominating possession at that point. I think it was like 70% possession at one point in the first half. We were just stroking it about with ease. It seemed as if it was just a constant flow of passing moves and triangles, and they just can't get close to us. And we inevitably go 2-0 up when Hatate gets to the byline and squares it for Maeda to sort of bundle the ball over the line. Dano, was that a good goal from your point of view?
Absolutely. And everybody thought he was offside, and he totally wasn't. And that just was exactly what was going on the whole game. The fluidity of our offensive game was superlative. I mean, our midfield completely dominated them. It just goes to show how very seldom Hearts were in our final third. And, the tackling from our midfield, they just couldn't get anything linked up with the final third. And but yeah, when we were in possession, it was superlative. And that O'Reilly goal is probably the best goal I've seen Celtic score in a long time. I mean, it was just from the pass to the finish, and it was like, okay, this is our day. We are going to dominate.
There's a little compilation doing the rounds of O'Reilly's goals this season, and
they're incredible,
fantastic already.
And him on the volley. I mean, he scores the winner in the last game because of Motherwell, right? On the volley. I mean, his finishing, just straight volleying it into the goal, is scary. It's very, very, very good. And that's just another example. But yeah, the compilation of his goals this season, I've seen that, and they're all very good. So, but you're starting to see Rodgers' offensive vision kind of come into fruition right now. They're kind of forming up into a unit, and watching their movement and passing on Sunday was fantastic.
Yeah, and the second goal, it was a good example of what Rio Hatate brings to the team when he's on form, Kaiser, isn't it? He gets beyond the striker to the byline, and a fantastic ball into the middle. And that's what I think Brendan wants to see from Hatate.
I think realistically, we all spoke about Rio Hatate and how he came back for his injury and seemed slightly off the pace. And I think it's been incremental changes, picking up on what Daniel says, superfluous football at times. I think the incremental changes have came with the ties we've played in Europe as well, playing against much stronger, more dominant opposition, and really imposing our will and playing our game, or imposing the manager's will. I think I seen a clip a few weeks ago saying Brendan had sat Rio down and really had a word with him and highlighted factors in his game that he could improve on and help take him to the next level. Clearly, Hatate has been seeing Matt O'Reilly go to the next level and the things that he's added to his game. I mean, it would be a bit boastful to say, but I've got Elza Kaka about Matt O'Reilly and the way he plays. I mean, that finish with ball dropping over his shoulder and that left foot, I would have murderized that. I would have volleyed that into Rosie. I would have hurt someone here in Ibrox in the face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would have been that went from Edinburgh to Glasgow before it touched the back of the net. But absolutely outstanding technique. No effort to put power on it, just touching it in past the keeper. I noticed a little glance at the keeper as he was running in as well. As the ball comes in, he glances at the keeper to see if the keeper's rushing out or staying on his line. Just utterly critical decision making. Excellent. And as you were saying there, Stephen, right, Rio Hatate really is taking it up in increments, taking it to the next level. I noticed his defensive work as well. He's tracking back, taking on Hearts' supposed hard men and standing up for himself in a game. One thing we were all accusing the lads from the J-League of was being a little bit too friendly and a little bit too nice, picking players up off the ground after challenges and shaking hands and giving them a little cuddle and a wee pat on the bum. None of that anymore. There is none of that anymore. You know what I mean? It is meets out, peeing into the eye of the hurricane, some may say. But yeah, we're giving it Yaldi. I'm loving it. I'm loving the attitude for the boys. I think the first remnants of it I seen was a game a while ago when Dyson Maeda came out and he looked like a man on a mission to get a red card. And I think he got himself booked in that in the game. And he was just he was like Stormin Norman. I was like, right, that's it. The gloves are off. You know what I mean? The Japanese people are a warrior race. They're not to be taken lightly. You know what I mean? They have fundamental qualities about them that say they want to compete in sport as a sportsman. You know what I mean? They love that competitive nature. But now I think they've got right down to the nitty-gritty of what is Scottish football. And they've realised you got to have a bit of grit. You got to have a bit of something in the tank to dish it back to these players. I mean, we've seen it in the game. Celtic were just stroking the ball about, as you said, Stephen, passing it round. It was superfluous passing, highlighted by Daniel, just retaining the ball. Hearts couldn't get near it. And you've seen them starting to lean in, bull the Celtic players, really the frustration boiling over because they just couldn't touch us. They couldn't lay a glove on us. You know what I mean? I think the worst thing that happened was maybe Dyson's defensive work when he picked up the ball. For all his qualities and his defensive work, it was a loose pass that gave them an opportunity to take the shine off a result, which I had picked before the game to be a 4-0 result for Celtic. So I was boiling a wee bit, conceding one. You know what I mean? I was like, man, just that one. But a great finish. You know what I mean? A great finish.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about the Hearts goal in a bit, but we'll probably just mention after one, I'm certainly glad that the bum patting is gone as well, not least of which because, you know, Maitland is in trouble with Celtic's HR department. No form of harassment in the workplace is ever okay, we should point out. So we go to half time and we're laughing and it's all great, it's all brilliant. We come out in the second half looking to get a third goal, and lo and behold, first couple of minutes of the second half, we're getting a penalty. Gav, was it a penalty? You're on mute, Gav.
Okay.
Sorry, there was a dog barking. It was a penalty because it was given. At first glance, I thought it was harsh. I've got a mate who's a Hearts fan who was texting me during the game and was like, if that's given as a penalty, then the game's gone, kind of thing. And I sort of didn't disagree with him too much. And then today, you see that other angle where Kyogo gets his leg in the way, and the other guy comes in, and you see the knee of Kyogo getting forced inward, and he falls. I mean, it was pretty generous to get it, I think. Don't you?
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought when I first seen it, I went, "Oh God, they can't be given a penalty for that." And I thought VAR would overturn it, but it's clearly the VAR and the ref have noticed the knee into the back of Kyogo's knee. Clearly contact. You never got the ball.
Contact,
so
but I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, if the knee into the back of his knee, there was enough contact there for me to give the penalty. I don't think there was enough contact with the arms. He looked as if he kind of thought about having a tug at his shirt, but then thought better of it. But I think when you see it slowed down, I think it definitely was a penalty. But we take it and we move on. But up steps Rio Hatate and smacks it off the post on the back of a frankly awful penalty at Livingston, which he was very lucky to score. Dano, do we have a problem with penalties? We seem to be the worst team in the world for missing them, and I can't remember in my lifetime. I think you're almost going back to someone like Alan Thompson in the Martin O'Neill team, but to find someone who we can regularly bank on to score a penalty. Is this becoming an issue for us?
Yeah, it seems like if David Turnbull's not in the lineup, and he's clearly not the best option wherever he's playing in midfield, we don't really have a penalty taker. I mean, he seems to bury those every time he gets them, and I think that was the main kind of impetus for Rodgers putting him out there, but yeah, nobody else seems to be able to bury a penalty. It's always off the post or something bad happens. A dog farts in the crowd and we miss. I don't know what goes on. But yeah, it's definitely a problem. But I don't know what to do about it because clearly the guys we have out there are our best team we can put out. So,
well, if Palma's playing regularly, he could take it because he takes them. He has taken them in his career. He's a ball specialist.
Yeah, his penalty rating is pretty good. Yeah,
is he going to be on all the time? I wouldn't mind seeing CCV come up and just fucking put his laces through it every time.
We've got so many people in the team that can strike a ball cleanly. Even Matt O'Reilly, you see the shots that he's scoring, as you say, Lewis Palmer, Callum McGregor, even he's scored penalties in the past as well. I don't really know. I don't know what it is. What do you think the problem is, Kaiser?
I think it's we don't really get many penalties. I certainly remember us going at least 2 seasons while receiving minimum penalty awards, while other people were getting like 56 a season and only conceding 1 domestic penalty against, you know what I mean? So we don't get much of a chance to practice them, especially in high-pressure situations and league games and building on that pressure in European games. It's not something that you see Celtic really get the rub of the green with. For me, personally, I thought Kyogo done fantastic to get his body across the defender. The difference there is he was in possession of the ball. Kyogo got the body across. He was in possession. The defender hit his standing leg. If any of you have got sisters or older brothers or siblings and you take a knee to the back of the leg when you're using that to support your weight, it certainly folds you. I've had a couple of them, standing in the queue and the friend comes up behind you and goes, boop, boop, and puts his knee into the back of your knee. So I've had a few of them. It certainly folds you. For me, it was a bit harsh, right? How much can the defender do to get out of the way of that? It looked like he was trying to get out of the way of it, but still contact was made, and for me, it was a penalty. And as I says, I think the fact that we're not converting we have been converting, but not really looking like an assured penalty taker. It's just due to the mere fact that we don't get many penalties. We don't get many awards. And perhaps if we did, we would find out who is our best spot kick taker. And there's also the fact that the new managers come in and there seems to be a bit of a rotation in midfield and him finding players out and finding their best positions, players being injured, being out and coming back, and also new introductions in the way of Palma coming in and looking like, this guy could strike a pen. For me, big holy water, big Iwata up there and rifling them in. I'd settle for CCV as well, just getting right up there and putting the laces right through it. Old timey, you know what I mean? That's the way, just go and rifle it. But you want a player who, more than having class like O'Reilly and something like that could affect his confidence. Maybe that's why they're not putting him on the penalties. It could affect his confidence, and he's certainly our highest performing player right now, and his confidence seems to spread throughout the entire team. But yeah, I would favour having someone who just sticks the laces right through it rather than someone who tries to place it or whatnot or outthink the goalkeeper. I'm more along the lines of Gav there. I like the old style when it comes to a penalty. Just step up there and just rifle it. I mean, you're like, 8 yards out from goal? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I always I like my strikers to take the penalties. I want to see the centre forward just saying, "Give me the ball, hungry for goals, put it on the spot and just stick it in the corner." You look at how Kyogo finishes from anywhere really in and around the penalty box. I can't understand why he wouldn't be able to stick the ball in the corner from 8 or 10 yards, whatever it is, out. So for me, I would like to see Kyogo taking them. Sorry, Daniel, what were you going to say there, mate?
Yeah, I'm with you on that for sure. But you know why it's a penalty? I mean, the main reason it's definitely a penalty is because it's Cochran playing Celtic. So I mean, obviously he fucked something up, and it's definitely a penalty. I mean, he's just got the worst last couple of performances against us at Tynecastle, no less. And yeah, it's Cochran, man. Of course, it's a penalty.
Yeah.
I think what you said there, Stephen, I think what you said there, bro, a striker showing the hunger. We've seen that a couple of weeks ago. Kyogo stepped forward, took the ball, put it on the spot, wanted to take the spot kick, and it actually took Callum McGregor coming over and saying to him, "No, Rio's the kick taker." So maybe that's why Kyogo's not came and stepped forward, but he certainly showed that hunger and desire to come and hit them. And me, I would let Kyogo hit them as well. I'm on the same page as you. I would like the strikers to be adding to their goal tally by any means necessary. You know what I mean?
Well, the other thing is Hatate's last couple of penalties. I mean, the one before this really should have been saved anyways. He hasn't looked good.
That was a terrible piece of goalkeeping. The keeper could have threw his hat on that penalty. It was just awful.
Could have just stood there and kicked it away. I mean, it was right at him. So,
and his worst penalty miss of the season, the most important one that Hatate missed, was in the final of the Sydney Super Cup against Everton in the penalty shootout here in Sydney. He missed a decisive penalty, so that was his worst miss. So that was the one I regretted the most.
Through his name right there, like
that's
it. Yeah.
Anyway,
that's it for him. He's out of the lineup forever. Yeah.
So we missed the penalty and we go on, and a few minutes later, Hatate shows his absolute genius side of his game with a sumptuous flick with his back to goal, on for Lewis Palma to run through, plays a ball into the box. I think it's Hatate and O'Reilly go for it, and the ball breaks to Kyogo and he slams it home. But excellent piece of football from Hatate, Gavin. That's the sort of thing, isn't it, that Hatate's capable of?
Yeah, it is. Scaled to Hatate. Hatate, lovely little touch to Palma, who's in a bit of space, and then instead of bombing down the wing, as you would expect, he just takes one touch, and then outside of the right foot, gorgeous pass.
Yeah.
You know, he just oozes quality, Palma, doesn't he, in these moments? It's really exciting.
Yeah, he really doesn't have a lot of pace, but the quality, I mean, the way he can just drop it on a dime. You know, everybody talks about his pace, but you don't need to be pacey, man. He's got the skills.
He's got invention. For
me, it was very reminiscent of Jota, to be honest with you. Some of the chipped balls he could put in from wide areas. I mean, and Jota wasn't the fastest player either. Probably a little bit more pace than Palma, but he didn't have lightning pace. But his main strength was cutting inside, shooting, or dinking a ball over for a striker running in, and it put me in mind of Jota. But fantastic goal, great finish from Kyogo, and we're 3-0 up. Then, of course, as you mentioned earlier, Kaiser, we decide to to gift them a goal with Dyson Maeda showing the poor side of his game, giving the ball away on the edge of our own box. I don't think Brendan would be happy with that one, even though we were 3-0 up, Kaiser.
Yeah, I think that's really earmarked, as in when it comes to European football. Tiny mistakes like that are where you're punished, and just shows that we were punished domestically for that, because that's the kind of thing that's been costing us in Europe. Dyson Maeda, of course, the benchmark for work rate, absolutely outstanding. Back there, tackling back. I believe he was on the right-hand side of the park at that time and tackling in for the right-hand side. He just seemed to be everywhere, playing on the left wing, playing on the right wing, interchangeable with Palmer. Palmer, as Gav says, he just has that little brush of magic, that little touch of inventiveness, the same as Hatate. I love to see that down that one side now. We've got that back, because it was Hatate and Jota on the left, and we had that little touch of genius where it was needed. But yeah, I think these are the mistakes that really cost us on the European stage. So cutting them out domestically and really progressing the squad and making sure that they don't happen week in, week out is where you want to be. But yeah, Dyson Maeda, like, sometimes he's both pleasure and pain of Celtic Football Club. You know what I mean? Benchmark for work rate, sometimes he leaves a lot to be imagined, and other times he'll rifle a world-class goal in. So
he took the ball off.
All the same.
He took the ball off the toe of someone not very dangerous and then laid it straight to their most dangerous striker.
Yeah,
He hit a lovely shot on the turn, by the way.
Good finish from Shankland.
But I wish Maeda could pass to our attacking players with such accuracy. That would be awesome.
Maybe if he tries defending for the other team and just like, I'm defending for Hearts, and gets in there, wins the ball and tries to pass it to a Hearts player, he'll start picking out our midfielders on the edge of the box. You know what I mean? Some sort of reverse psychology in sportsman terms. But yeah, I think that is the big critique of Dyson in it. Sometimes if he did have all the aspects to his game, I've heard Stephen say it before as well, if he had all those aspects to his game, then he would be around a £20 million player, and he would not be at Glasgow Celtic. He would be far off into the distant future. He seems to do it for Japan, seems to perform for Japan. Maybe that's why they play him up front as a striker, because then they less rely on him to track back and work back and be in those defensive situations. He's more exploiting his pace, breaking forward. And I would love to see us do that at times with him as well. We did see it in early season games where he was used as a striker. And I think, especially, I thought that would happen in Europe when hitting teams on the break and being forced to be more defensively. As it happens, the European performances and how we've been playing, we've been coming out and playing really good football. And I think the same as previous manager, who he shall not be named in front of Gav, because Gav doesn't like him, right? We're not saying his name. But
the jilted lover.
We seem to put in these really excellent performances, and it's a rubbery green, a stroke of luck, a last minute mistake, something like that costs us. I'm just wondering, how long is it before Celtic get that rubbery green, before Celtic capitalise on a last minute mistake? I mean, other teams make mistakes as well. It's only 11 men against 11 men. Every team we play against is not world class compared to Glasgow Celtic. And Celtic are a magical team capable of beating any team, especially at Celtic Park on any given night, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're 3-1 up at that stage, and things got a little bit nervous for about 5 seconds. And then we take control of the game again, and it's just a question. Then we make a flurry of substitutions, and we don't really lose any dominance, and we deservedly get a 4th goal. Nice ball in and to O. He slashes at it a couple of times. I feel really sorry for O. I think he deserved a goal today or yesterday. But it just didn't fall for him, and then it falls to Iwata, and he curls a cracking strike in off the underside of the bar. So, Gav, what did you think of Iwata's performance after coming on as a sub, and do you think that was a good goal?
Well, I enjoyed the goal, but my stream had troubles at 70 minutes or something, and it went down for 5 minutes, and then I had to come up and get into my computer and log in again. Eventually I came back, so I can't really comment on his performance. All I know is, there was some frantic sort of pissing around in the box by O, and then Iwata scored a lovely shot. And then O had a chance later on that was saved point blank, wasn't it? Like a cross came in. Oh, you'll probably comment to that later.
Yeah,
that was it was a good effort, that one as well. But yeah, O was just slashing at it like a Halloween movie or something there in the box, and it just wasn't going to fall for him. But Dano, were you impressed with Iwata? He came on for Rio Hatate, I think, so he played a little bit further forward than he would normally play. But I thought he had a really good game.
I thought he did too. I mean, that finish was fantastic. But yeah, he looked good. He looked comfortable where he was. You know, I'm sure I'm not the only one who was kind of surprised that he was coming in, because he hasn't even gotten a look in basically at all year. And there must be something that the gaffer's seeing in training that he's been liking. So I'm glad he got a chance, man. He's a good player. And now back to giving away that earlier goal. I mean, how can you send the 450 Hun juniors back home empty-handed? I mean, we had to kind of give them a goal and be good house guests. I mean, it's just too negative if they go home with a donut. So
you did hear Naismith's interview after the game, didn't you, Dano?
Yeah,
give them nothing.
God.
Give him nothing.
What man? I mean, he's just sitting back in his office before that interview, eating a batch of sour grapes or something. Man, I mean, he's just
yeah. On that point, actually, I've got a little question for the viewers to answer. Let me see if I can put this up. This is the thumbnail for today's show. And my question is, why does that photograph in the middle make me think of Dexy's Midnight Runners? See if anyone can answer that. Not among us, but anyone in the comments. Look at the picture. Why does that remind me of Dexy's Midnight Runners?
That's a good one, man. There's
no prizes. It's just for fun.
Well, maybe if we run into each other, a hearty pat on the back and a congratulations.
So remind me if anyone sees that in the comments. Are there any comments coming in? Not yet, but I'll flag any if they do. Go ahead.
Yeah. For me, I thought I thought you were going to come to me next anyway, Stephen, right? So I'll just jump right in. Size 9s, well, size 14s and all, since we're discussing size the other week. Last time I was on. Yeah. 250 in there with maximum pride. I thought when Ali Tips on a red-ash pitch, Dano. I thought when Iwata came on, he was excellent. He was really industrious. He was dropping deep. He was also pushing forward, retaining possession, linking up play. Physically, absolutely solid. You know what I mean? There was people just bouncing off him left, right and centre, which I thought was excellent. And I think we've said on this show before, what is it that Iwata's done? Farted on Brendan's porridge or something, because he wasn't getting a look in. There was no sign of him getting in the squad, even being named in match day squads. So he can right in there and be as sharp as he was, sharp as attack, was outstanding. I think he's, as Gav says, when O snatched at his original shot, really do feel for O, because he's a player that I like. Seen his link-up play in earlier games of the season and dropping deep and linking up the ball, and seen other strings to his bow, or proverbial bow, as well as scoring goals. But just really want him to get that goal now, score a goal and get that monkey off his back, so to speak. But he was snatched at his first opportunity. Keeper made a good stop, low and hard, made the keeper work, parries the ball out, the Hearts defender tries to clear it, slides in, kicks it away. Iwata's there to capitalise. Absolutely masterfully, strokes it off the underside of the bar. I'm sure he meant it 100%. You know what I mean? He was
guaranteed.
Straight through it, boom, opens up his foot and curls it right in the top corner. Excellent strike, excellent finish, and well deserving. You know what I mean? I thought, as I call him, Holy Water, thought Holy Water was excellent for when he came on. And I think Brendan's really, the attitude of Brendan and the attitude of the way he treats players and how he wants them to progress. When you're in any workplace and you can see that your performance leads to progression, people tend to work a bit harder and strive to progress. I think Iwata's doing that. He's been doing that in training. Brendan's been seeing that, and that's why he was there to come on. Also, I thought he actually came on for Callum McGregor, but he didn't, because McGregor was still on the pitch when I think back on it. but I thought that was going to be the obvious change. Maybe give Callum McGregor a little rest for midweek coming up. But yeah,
I think McGregor came off when Bernardo went on, and I think Iwata dropped back into McGregor's role at that point. But I think it was interesting that Iwata was the first midfield player off the bench, and I think that's the first time that's happened this year. He's always, in previous games, he's gone to Bernardo or Turnbull, but this time it's Iwata, and I think that maybe tells you a little bit about, the fact that Iwata is impressing Brendan. He's obviously the type of guy who's happy to work at his game and improve to the level that Brendan wants him to be at. But it was been nice to see him getting a chance and get his first goal for the club. Didn't realise that was his first goal.
Yeah, man.
So nice one for him.
Yeah, by the way, I got a question for everybody, and we can include the viewers on this. But I don't know about you. Those are my favorite type of goals to go in. Any kind of rattler off the bar and it bounces around. You're not sure if it's in or if it's out. That's my favorite type of goal in football. I don't know about how you guys feel, but yes, love it.
Yes, a cracker. He really caught hold of it. So we see the game out 4-1. There was one more chance, as we mentioned, where O was quite unlucky. Great cross in. I think it was from Forrest. And O gets on the end of it, and it's a good save by the goalkeeper, to be honest. But very comfortable win, and we're laughing. Want to talk briefly? Do you want to get somebody nailed that answer there, Gav?
Yeah, somebody has. I'll just put up some of these. Hold on, let me see.
Like Googling it, man. No,
I thought it was because Naismith was leaning over the top of Brown and shouting, "Come on!" and it's "Come on, Eileen."
Well, you're halfway there. Paddy Lavery says "before my time," which can't be true. I know what Paddy looks like. Pam says "come on, Eileen," much like you, Kaiser. That's right, because the opening line of "come on, Eileen" is a reference to Johnny Ray. So I was thinking it's like, let me put it up again. You'll see that is Johnny Hayes down there. Poor old Johnny Hayes. That's what I was thinking.
I thought it was Scott
well
Brown,
done to David Reed.
Well, yeah, a little bit of foreshadowing on a future joint here, Gav. Yeah.
Come on, Dano.
Another karaoke classic.
Oh, yes.
So we might have a quick chat about the attendance and the ticketing arrangements. Which saw Celtic limited to about 560 tickets. Plenty of empty seats in the home end, even before they were getting gubbed, and that only increased as the game went on. But I'll go to you first, Kaiser, being based in Scotland. Do you think they're killing the away fixture for fans by cutting these allocations down to the bare minimum?
I think they're fooling themselves. Like, they don't need the money from Celtic, or they don't need our support there. They don't want us making their environment our environment. I mean, you've seen the amount of empty seats, as you said yourself, Stephen. You've seen the amount of empty seats in the stadium before they were getting gubbed. Not to mention the last 20 minutes of the game. I'm sure the 560 odd Celtic fans were possibly the most fans in the stadium. We outnumbered them at that point, even with the reduced allocation, which is just hilarious. Like I always say, these teams could take, say when you're playing the big boys, right? Both sides from Glasgow playing both big sides from Edinburgh, right? Big boys in both cities. When they're playing, I would open as many stands as I could to the away fans. I would open 2 stands to the away fans and have 2 stands of home fans. And I would charge the away fans maybe £10 extra on their ticket. And if the fans wanted to pay that, I would take that money and I would invest it in my squad to ensure that I was putting up competition and maybe even giving them a game of it. You know what I mean? Having that quality invested on the pitch. Same with these other little diddy teams in Scotland that are reducing allocation and giving Celtic less allocation, as well as the Sev Covians getting less allocation. Well, with them, I can understand why. You know what I mean? You don't want too many of them all in one place, or it's catastrophic. Open up a black hole of sanity and start swallowing people up. But open your stands. Let the Celtic fans in. Let the fans come and watch the big guns, the people we want to see. I mean, it's a draw. It's an attraction to your theatre, your stadium. Charge Celtic fans an extra £10 a ticket for an away fixture. Reinvest that money in your squad and your facilities, and we wouldn't have plastic pitches in Scotland, and we would certainly have a higher calibre of football with better teams, with better standard of players, in my opinion. Yeah. Why not capitalise on that match day experience? I don't get it.
But there's such pettiness in the game, isn't there? I mean, obviously, at the heels of the hunt, what we need is a rule change that's enforced, that requires a certain percentage, maybe with, caps here and there or whatever. But, clubs can do what they want because the rules allow it. So the rules have to change and somebody has to make a stand because it's ridiculous.
It's a terrible
support so much.
Yeah. It's a terrible way to advertise the Scottish game, man. I mean, it just looks stupid.
I mean, I can understand when say we brought in a rule change and it said you had to allocate 10% of your stadium, right? Now, Hearts usually are in the past allocated something like between 5 and 7%, which is just over like 1,500 Celtic fans in the stadium. It wasn't a lot to begin with, never mind reducing it. It just looked like their diet Huns are falling in line with Sevco, doing what they do, trying to minimise Celtic's input in the stadium. We all know why Sevco did it, because Brendan Rodgers shamed them in their own ground and we outplayed them. The players were celebrating with a full Brimley Road stand and they just couldn't stomach it anymore. They couldn't handle that fact that their ground was now our ground. And I live here anyway, so it's always my ground. It's my ground every day of the week. They only come and visit once a fortnight. You know what I mean? They're lucky I let them into this area. I'm not out there chasing them away. But at the end of the day, I think, say we imposed a change and it was 10% was an allocation. Every away team is not going to bring 10%. They're not going to fill 10% of that stadium. But certainly the bigger teams are going to fill that aspect. And I would encourage these teams to drop the petty behaviour and start making yourself money. Start improving the quality of the product and how it also looks on television, because it looks like an absolute rammy. It looks like a ghost town. And I used to watch games in other leagues around the world and see half-empty stadiums and think to myself, that's a rammy. That's an absolute joke. Surely you can fill that with school children, give away free tickets, encourage the next generation, bring in fans to support your club. But the fact of the matter is, in grounds like Swinecastle, they don't want to introduce their children to the kind of bigoted atmosphere that they will be experiencing from the Hearts die-hard fans. You know what I mean? And I can understand it. I can understand it completely. But they should be opening up. If they are not going to open up their way and let us have more fans, they should be bringing in as many fans on their behalf as they can. If that means going around local schools and giving out tickets, that's what you do.
Yeah. So in case anybody wasn't aware of how small the Celtic allocation was, there you go. There's a picture of the Celtic fans. Now, for some reason, that particular graphic wasn't shown on Sky Sports at all, either before, during, or after the game. I have no idea why. But that was where the Celtic fans were poked into the corner there. And I think you're right.
How dare those oppressed fans stand with oppressed people? Shizo. The censorship nowadays, you know what I mean? You're not allowed to freedom of speech or freedom of expression. And I understand what some people would say, the football stands are not that. But I think they need to remember the very foundation of people singing songs on the football stands was for that freedom of expression and the freedom to chant and talk and sing your songs. And If You Know Your History is one of the famous songs as well. If you know your history, me personally, I would never stand with an oppressor. I like to stand with the oppressed and vindicate those people who are suffering, because it's synonymous with the history of Glasgow Celtic and what the club was formed for.
Interesting to note as well that the Green Brigade were not present at the game on the weekend. So we'll move on from that to our next thing I wanted to talk about, and that is Brendan Rodgers. So Brendan Rodgers, the question that I want to ask is, is his rehabilitation with the fans now complete? And Gav, is this a good time to bring in our interlude?
Well, it's as good a time as any. This is a little ditty in the style of traditional Irish music in praise of Brendan, which everyone of you guys have heard, but I think there's quite a lot of people watching who haven't. So this is The Green Hoops of Celtic.
Eggs.
Our story begins in the county Antrim, where our gaffer is from. This song's about
Well, I can honestly say a polar bear's jizz was not where I was expecting that to go.
Certainly some of them younger pictures, Brendan had a touch of Jota about him. That one where he had the earring, and some of the a little bit later than that, I was like, it looks a little bit like Stan Petrov. And some of the later ones in that, I thought, Jesus Christ, he's got teeth like Glasgow wheelie bins. Some are green, some are yellow, some are missing. I'm glad he got them fixed. You know what I mean?
He had double earrings, man. He had an earring in both ears in that one picture. I was like, whoa, Brennan. Yeah.
Beautiful.
What strikes me about the photos there is how successful his makeover was. You see how he was like chubby and his teeth were sort of alternate colors, you know, brown and then white and then brown and then white, all over the place.
Yeah.
So he looks awesome now, comparatively.
Oh, the things money can do for you.
I dug held along with that.
So yeah, so let's talk a bit about Brendan. So after the game, it was audible on the TV coverage that the fans were singing his name, and it was the old song we used to sing in his first spell from the hymn "Here I Am, Lord," the remix. And Brendan's heard us calling in the night. Do we think that's shown us that his rehabilitation is now complete and everyone's prepared to accept him again? Kaiser, I'll go to you first for that one.
I think it certainly shows that respect that we had for him the first time round. before he proverbially shat the sheets and left us. It's kind of been forgotten. The sheets have now been washed. You know, a whitewash has been undergone. Sort of the fans getting back on his side. I wouldn't say fully indoctrined into loving Brendan and everything that is Brendan, but he's certainly winning the majority of the fans over. That percentage that seemed to be not too happy about him returning is certainly dwindling and getting smaller and smaller. And not just because the club banned him for 4 away games. Because Brendan's performances and the performances of the squad, certainly bringing fans to his side. I keep saying we're only one big result in Europe away from really arriving, and Brendan really arriving for his second spell. Could it be this midweek game? Who knows? Certainly hope so.
How much polar bear jizz was in the shat sheets? Is it?
That's probably quite a lot. That was masterful songwriting.
I never knew that was how we measured whiteness. No, I do.
Yeah. So how white is it? Yeah.
Is that? Well, it's as white as
white rice
right.
on a paper plate and a styrofoam cup and a blizzard.
Right. Before you'd mention like the robes of a Saudi royal or something. Now the standard is set.
Yeah.
So apparently, Brendan did a Q&A with a few selected supporters groups last week. No one from the Celtic world was invited, which I think is a major slur against the channel and something I'm going to be taking up with the Celtic supporters liaison officer.
I think he knows I'm the closest representative in Glasgow, so it would be me who was in attendance, and he was just like,
"Yeah, maybe you're onto something there."
Yeah, you might have it there, guys. Yeah.
So apparently, Brendan charmed the bejesus out of everyone that was there, and he had them all eating out his hand. The sort of quote that I heard from someone who was there said, "You know, if this is an act, then he deserves an Oscar because it's the best piece of acting I've ever heard." Apparently, he was almost in tears talking about his love for the club. He's talking about being here maybe even 5, 6, 7 years, long-term plans, and you know. I guess the question is, Gav, I can see you shaking your head there. Are you buying any of that? Are you buying what Brendan's selling?
Well, I don't think he's being insincere. I think that's the problem. You know, he's the complete opposite of he who shall not be mentioned, Kaiser. You know, who, you know,
Voldemort.
I think Andrews was all a very deliberate attempt to craft his image and wheedle his way into our affections. And he identified every one of our buttons and, you know, wet his fingers and pressed them repeatedly in a circular motion. But, you know, Brendan, on the other hand, he is a Celtic fan. And, you know, he does get it in a way that Ange could never have.
Ooh, names.
I'd like him to stick to being the manager and lay off all the emotional fan stuff a bit, you know? Resist the urge to go down that route. He's doing a great job, but I would rather he keep it business, but I don't think he can help himself.
I mean, the possibility is, Dano, that it's just absolutely 100% genuine and he's just telling it as it is. And it was behind closed doors in a supporter Q&A, so it's not as if he's saying all this in TV interviews and anything. So do you think he's genuine?
I think that's part of the problem there's a dichotomy going on here, right? There's what he feels in his heart of hearts. And then there is what happens when someone puts a squillion dollars in front of you to go manage whoever, you know, one of the major clubs. So our perception from outside of this box is whatever he kind of tells us, but things change. I mean, in this profession, things are extremely fluid. So I don't I don't think he's disingenuous when he says this stuff, but you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt given the industry that he's in. And that's just how it is nowadays. It's just like getting attached to a player or anything else. They move on, man. I do hope that it's true. He is fantastic. He's perfect to manage Celtic to a very, very good place. If he stays for 5 years, I think that would be unbelievable. But you have to wait and see, man. I mean, Arsenal or whoever come knocking on his door like, well, we drove up this truckload of money. Would you like to have that like every week? I mean, could anyone resist?
I think that's it at the core. We can all tell that Brendan's a Celtic man. And I think along the lines of the first time that he moved on, as well as the attraction of the wages and the job, plying your trade at the top of the game in one of the best leagues of the world. Like, who doesn't want to ply their trade? Even you see players want to ply their trade in the best leagues. Who doesn't want to do that? I think as well as that, it was a lack of progression from the board, a lack of investment, a lack of him being able to take us to other levels, especially in European football. And if Brendan is in a fan meet with very, as you say, intimate venue with a select group of fans, I kind of see him walking in there and saying, it's all shite, I'll probably be here another couple of weeks. So as much as I tend to believe him and think he's genuine in what he's saying, as Daniel says, if a big money offer comes in, who am I to tell him not to take it? You know what I mean? It's you getting to play his trade at a big club, perhaps in one of the best leagues in the world. It would be fully understandable, especially with the level of backing. When he came in initially and says, I'm going to be here for 3 years, and he declared that he would stay for the 3 years. I mean, I was delighted at that, as well as delighted at all the talk of, we're going to become a force in Europe, we're going to do something in Europe. Now, how quickly is that going to happen? Certainly with the recruitment policy that's going on, I can understand we're operating round about that. He's certainly not displayed that that's going to happen anytime rapidly. So now he's talking about 7 years. Yeah, exactly, Gav. Exactly. Just live in the moment and take it for what it's worth right now.
Yeah, just enjoy the fun ride, man. Because I mean, it is going to be a ride. I will say, if he leaves again mid-season, that is a fucking disgrace. Okay, like if it's at the end,
getting the knife sharpened for that.
Yeah, if he leaves in January again,
I like the way Gav wanted the professionalism. Just keep it professional. For some reason, I get visions of Julia Roberts saying "no kissing on the mouth." That's what Gav's looking for. The pretty women experience everything, but no kissing on the lips, Brendan.
Right.
Everything else.
Man. Yeah,
don't let your heart get involved.
No tongues.
Man.
Pure mechanical intercourse.
It's business.
Well, he's got me. I have to say, he's got me hook, line, and sinker. I'm all in. I'm all in on Brendan. Brendan's here for 10 in a row.
Yeah,
just don't leave in January. Seriously, I mean, you guys fucking don't do it, bro. Just don't do it.
Well, we're running out of time to talk about other things. We're probably going to have to slice a few things off the menu.
We'll quickly touch on the game on Thursday morning here against Atletico Madrid at home in the Champions League. Gav, what do you think we've got a realistic chance of taking anything from this game? And what do you think we need to do well in order to compete with them?
Well, I think we're playing better at this point than we have done previously. When the Champions League started, we were still all over the shop, really. We didn't look like a cohesive unit. We're starting to look like one. I think we've still got a long way to go. It's just the Champions League starts early in the season and we're all over the place. And maybe that's always going to be the story. Who knows? But we're playing better than we were. I think it's realistic to expect that we put up a good show and we're at home. And I don't think it's realistic to expect 3 points, but maybe a draw.
And Daniel, what's your realistic expectations?
I think it's going to be a battle. I liked how we looked against Lazio. Man, they were there for the taking too. If Maeda just doesn't touch that ball on, man, we are we are sitting pretty. So, like Gav, I think we're playing much better. I think that's demonstrably, in a demonstrable manner. I think we can pull it off. Be a tight game. Hopefully it's not that 1974 massacre that happened at Celtic Park with Atleti. They should have gotten 11 red cards in that game. But yeah, it's going to be a battle. I think the thing that's most important at this level, and especially for Hatate, and I hate to single him out, but it seems like in these games he gives away the ball a lot. He takes these risky passes that he gets away with in Scotland that just get eaten up by better teams. So I think keeping the ball in midfield, keeping possession, and making them work and wear them down while they're defending is going to be the key especially against, a Diego Simeone side. It's, got to have the ball, man. Got to have the ball.
Yeah, I think they're definitely the best team in the group, and I think it would probably be peak Celtic to get beat off the other two teams and then take something off the Atletico Madrid.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't think we should ever count ourselves out at home against any team.
Nope.
I know our home record's, not what it has been in the past, but Kaiser, we should have a crack at this at least.
Well, I'm the eternal optimist and the eternal dreamer. I stand with Strangelove the Doctor. Atletico are getting Hulk smashed 3-0, maybe 3-1. You know what I mean? Hulk smash, love it. I think disregard Celtic at your own peril, and Atletico are certainly the best side in this group, and it does earmark. I would back Celtic against any team in the world on any given night at Paradise. I do dare to dream, and I think we will arrive in this game. I certainly hope we will arrive in this game. What is it going to take for us to win this game? Retaining possession, good match management, playing some good football.
Yeah.
And like we've said all throughout this show, Celtic have been gathering momentum over and over again. The performances in Europe, we've been a midge's leg away for securing amazing results, and we haven't secured them. Perhaps this is the night we do secure it. Wednesday night coming up. Perhaps this is the game that changes. Perhaps we win the rest of the games that we have in this Champions League group, home and away, and we go on to qualify or finish second. You know what I mean? Or we secure football after Christmas. I dare to dream. I do not.
Yeah.
I think discount Celtic at your own peril, especially at Paradise. I think we're more than capable of going and getting a result.
Yeah. And by the way, Atleti being the best team in this group, that's not like a lot of the other groups where the top one or two teams are streets ahead of the rest of the group. I mean, there's not a lot to cut between all four of these teams. Mm-hmm. Like this is the closest run group, I think, in the Champions League. Like this is kind of the battle royale.
All right, then score prediction, Gav.
Well, I'm with Pam. 1-1.
I'm sure Pam's delighted.
We love you, Pam. Yeah.
Call me. No kiss on the lips.
Was that for Ange, Gav? No.
What's your score prediction, Dana?
I'm going 2-1. I'm not going with the Hulk smash crowd down here, but I think it's going to be very close run, and maybe we'll finally get the rub of the green with it. I think Palma's going to be a key player in this game, man. I really do.
And Kaiser, are you going for a heavy home win?
I'm going for a 3-1 victory. Yeah. Hulk smash. Hulk smash. The green machine turns up. Hulk smash. I stand with Strangelove the Doctor.
Yeah.
Steve?
Okay, well, I'm going to go with 420 somewhere, and I'm going to say we're going to win 1-0. I think we'll take a chance. We can't continue to miss chances, and I think the key is when we get a big chance that we take it. But I think we're good enough, and I think we shouldn't undersell ourselves. I think we can definitely take something from this game. So I'm going 1-0 to Celtic. A result which would throw the group wide open again. And certainly, get us right back in it. Certainly in terms of finishing third. So looking forward to it. Another early start, 6 a.m. kickoff here in Sydney. So half shot knife for the rest of that day again. So, all right, so we're coming to the end of the show, and we'll just quickly touch on our social media recommendations. And I'll put yours up first, Gav. No, that's not it. This one here, wasn't it?
Yeah, you can click through those. This is like a AI representation of players in high school America. If you can zoom in, can you zoom in?
Oh, this is that yearbook thing, right?
Yeah, it's
Like
the
Ferris
yearbook.
Bueller's Day Off. Look at it.
So, can we all see who that's supposed to be?
Cal McGregor.
Yeah, McGregor.
Yeah.
Kyogo, who looks pretty similar to Kyogo, I have to say.
Yeah, he's like the other Japanese Goonie in this one. Yeah,
I mean, Kyogo still has the haircut of a teenager who hasn't worked out what to do with his hair. Who am I to talk?
Yeah, I think
anyway.
in a future show we're going to have a discussion about Kyogo's hair. We'll leave it for
I think
tonight.
this is the best one for me. Look at that. That's awesome. That's a young hip hopping Matt O'Reilly.
Ice O'Reilly.
I mean,
Vanilla Ice O'Reilly. Yeah.
He's looking cool.
I love that
What a
90s boy
handsome
band
man he
switch.
is. Very handsome dude.
And then a little fresh-faced Hatate.
Yes.
He's always good in school. Very,
Real
very good at
Hatate.
mathematics.
Yeah, right, right. I love physics. Yeah.
So I thought that was a bit.
Is in a book club, loves to play chess.
Yeah.
Some of these AI things give me the creeps, I have to say.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll go on to yours, Dano, and I believe you had this one here.
Yeah, and this
which was a response from from Daniel San to TikTok Todd's pish, whatever he's saying.
Yes.
Do I talk us through that one?
Okay, now if you'll scroll up to the video,
I have to see his face.
is Todd Cantwell on meth? Look at his apartment. What is going on here? This guy is a professional player making thousands of pounds a week. He's in like a ratty ass t-shirt. He's got a backwards hat on. He's got an open rack for his clothes or whatever. I mean, I don't know what's going on here, man, but I think he needs help. Like, he's house poor, man. He doesn't even have a table in there. It looks like it looks like a crack house, man. It looks like a crack house.
It's in the law.
I think it might be time for an intervention.
Exactly. I mean, is nobody watching this, seeing the warning signs? He's online. He's talking shit. I mean, he's all hopped up on something. I mean, somebody's got to reach a helping hand for this young man. This is concerning.
It's a cry for help.
It really is.
Injured and really, to stay relevant.
Really is. I mean, look at him. The nervous hand motions. I mean, it's very busy. He's on something, man.
Okay, so this is mine. I thought this was quite funny. A certain type of symmetry. When Brendan Rodgers left the first time, his first game, the first game we played was at Tynecastle, and they had and I think it was the Green Brigade had a sign, and I think you traded immortality for mediocrity. Never a Celt, always a fraud. But this is just shows you the way how things can change very, very quickly. We're back at Tynecastle again, and we're all in love with Brendan again, and it's Brendan's heard his calling in the night and all the rest of it. So you traded one job for another. Never a big deal, and he was always welcome back.
Yes.
And I knew we were going to be running over, so I didn't submit any social media. Sorry.
And just another little bit of housekeeping. I'd like to tell Tam Mac that I didn't do a voiceover on Father Ted. He seems to be suggesting that he's definitely heard me before somewhere, and it's on Father Ted. So I didn't tell Dougal to smoke the fags.
It was the one with the cows, and he's like, "This is a small cow. Those ones are far away."
Yeah. I do have to point out to an earlier commenter, they were asking me if I was holding a Mogwai. Yes, it is a Mogwai. They still exist over here. It wasn't like made up on Gremlins.
No.
It's a Mogwai.
And someone described you as a poor man's Mr. T.
No. Yeah, poor man's. Yeah, that works.
Need to
I'll
buy
take
a nice Celtic bow for that hair, Daniel.
it. Yeah. I think I'm gonna.
It's the mohawk.
Yeah, we'll do something that'll satisfy the fans.
All right, and with that, I think we'll draw the curtain down on tonight's show. Don't forget, everyone, to tune in to Thursday's show when there'll be a comprehensive debrief of the Celtic's stunning victory over Atletico Madrid, and a look ahead to another trip to Edinburgh next weekend to play Hibs. So thanks very much for joining us. Thanks to everyone in the comments, and thanks to all you guys as well. So good night from me, and hail, hail.
Yeah.
Hail, hail.
Bye.